My name's Alic, and I'm 13 years old. This show has taken me on adventures all over this world. The scenarios create intense challenges that all of us can face. And it all started because I don't play video games, I play outside. And through my adventures, I've learned something really cool about life. We live in a really wild world that's just waiting to be explored. And when we get outside and go adventuring, we can make it even wilder. So I'm going to experience, explore, thrive, and survive the wilder lands of the world.
And you are coming with me. Welcome to Southern California. Man, this place is amazing. Just look at this view. We got big mountains. There's a hawk flying up over there. I've got my supplies all around me. I've got my camelback with some stuff in it that I'll show you in a little bit. And I've got a collapsible, movable, transportable fishing rod here, which will come in handy. And there's lots of differences from Texas to California. As you can see behind me, the mountains, of course, are a big difference. We've got this great view. It's super outdoorsy, and it's right next to one of the biggest cities in the country. There's different fish, all sorts of stuff. And there's a couple things you gotta watch out for here. There's lots of rattlesnakes and black widows and mountain lions. There's earthquakes. And there's also fire. There's lots of forest fires. They could be man-made or they could be made by lightning. But I've got my trusty knife here, as you've seen in other episodes. I've got a map of the area that I am in to help me find water and different trails. And I've got some swimwear so I can go swimming when I'm at the ocean. And my camelback, it's a new camelback because my last one kind of got broken. And this one's packed full of fresh cold water, which will keep me hydrated and good to go. So, let's get adventuring. Refreshing. Now, let's take a look at the map. If you don't have a map, you will most likely get lost. And speaking of getting lost, I have a friend named James. And James is autistic. Now, every day in the United States, at least one autistic child goes missing. They either wander off into the forest to explore and they can't find their way home, or they wander off into the city. And most of the time it doesn't end very well and they don't come home. And my friend James, he wandered off and he was gone for an hour and a half, and they had search teams out looking for him with helicopters. And luckily, he found his way to somebody, and that lady was a nurse, and he was just a little dehydrated, but she helped him and he's all safe and sound at home now. but it could have ended pretty badly, but luckily it didn't. Now, James is actually a really big fan of the show, and this, Southern California, is his backyard. Now, sometimes James has a little bit of trouble focusing on different things, but what's really cool is that he's able to focus on the episodes and what I do, and he likes to sit there and watch the episodes. So, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hike around and show him all the stuff that will be familiar to him next time he goes out and goes hiking with someone. He'll recognize the stuff, which is pretty cool for him. So thank you, James, for letting me play in your big backyard. And now I gotta look at the map and figure out where exactly I am. Okay, so I'm up here in the Santa Monica Mountains, and I am on one of these little trails over here. There's lots of different trails. There's a couple little water sources. I'm by a little stream right now, as you can see. And right here is where the TV show MASH was filmed. And I am going to try and make my way to a bigger water source called the ocean. And here's a little bit of the ocean right here up in the corner. But I'm gonna keep hiking and see if I can make it to my destination. Okay, you guys, so I was out hiking around and I came across this little overlook here. Now, the reason I'm so up high is because I'm trying to get my bearings, and I'm trying to get to the highest point that I can, which is probably like up there or over there, to see if I can spot the ocean in order to make my way over there. Now, I want to tell you about something called a switchback. Now, a switchback is usually found if you're hiking on a mountain or something, and it's when the trail zigzags back and forth to make it less strenuous on your legs, because otherwise the alternative to that is just going straight down this hill. And if you did that, you'd probably slip and fall and land on a cactus, get stabbed by a yucca, eaten by a yeti, stabbed by a rattlesnake. Who knows what would happen? But it's not good. So I'll give you one more look at that view, and we'll keep hiking and see if we can find the beach. Okay, you guys, so I've been hiking out here for a while. I've seen tons of amazing views. They got the big mountains and the foresty areas, and then chaparral on one side, trees and green stuff on the other side. A couple little pond type areas, streams, and sometimes when you're out hiking, or if you're lost or something, you could find really cool things that act as a shelter that protect you from the elements. And this is a particularly cool one. Now, this is a medical army truck, but this isn't any old medical army truck. This truck was used on the set of a TV series called MASH, and MASH aired from 1972 to 1983, which means that when they filmed the last episode, I was negative 17 years old. But I've still seen a couple of the episodes because my dad is a pretty big fan of it, and he's got the whole series, and he's watched a couple. But it's a really cool TV show, and MASH stands for Mobile Army Surgical Hospital, because it was a TV show about a army hospital that was around during the Vietnam War, and they go around, they fix up the soldiers. But as I said, this works as a cool shelter to protect you from rain. Obviously, since it's metal, it will get pretty hot during the day, but it will protect you from a bunch of other stuff, and it's a good place to stop and get a drink. But I'm gonna keep hiking and see if I can find the ocean. And this is the cool thing about hiking around Southern California, is you might come across things that you recognize, because they film everywhere for TV shows and movies. But I'll keep moving. These guys are everywhere, but I feel bad for them because there's coyotes all around. But I'll see if I can. Yeah, he's a little bunny rabbit. Look, he took out. Oh.
he took off, but I bet I could find another. Because they're everywhere, as I said. But coyotes go after bunny rabbits, and if you look in like coyote scat, you can usually see rabbit fur or whatever because they eat them and the fur comes out in their poo.
Okay, you guys, so I'm here to show you one of the coolest plants ever invented. Now, this is the yucca. In later episodes, I have showed you like different uses for the yucca and what the yucca can do, but this is a California yucca. It's cool to see. It's different from the Texas one, and this one's pretty healthy. It's a nice one, but I'm gonna show you what the yucca is capable of doing. I'll just find a nice one. Now you gotta be careful with this plant. Okay, and you can hear the coyotes out there. I've heard them quite a lot while I've been here. Now the skin's a little weaker than my map. If you were to do it to your skin, it would hurt. So here I have my map. And you might not see it at first, but the yuccas have serrated edges on the sides, kind of like a saw. So if you put it on the map, and you pull it back and forth, you can see that it cuts into it. Now, it can get pretty deep cuts if you were to fall into one of these yuccas, and you could need to get stitches. So there's another one. And the tips are also very dangerous, and they also have a little bit of poison in them, and you can see it went clean through the map. There's the coyotes again. I'll do one more demonstration. So you can see how strong that is, but before you do anything with it, you gotta make sure that you pull the serrated edges off like this. And as you can see, it's a stringy type thing, but the yucca can also be, see, you gotta be careful because they're everywhere. But the yucca can also be used as sort of a sewing needle if you pull the tip off. So watch out for these if you're out and about, but I'm gonna keep moving.
Okay, so one of the similarities between Texas and California is the heat. And of course the big blue sky. And while I was hiking back there, I thought I saw something up ahead, and now I'm sure of it. Over here, I found the ocean. Beautiful, big, blue, full of aquatic life and what's not. Now, as you can see, it's getting dark out, and the ocean is pretty far ways away, so I don't think I'd be able to make it there in time when it's still daylight. So I think I'm gonna have to make a shelter for tonight, and then tomorrow I will go over there, explore, see what I can find, do whatever, see if I can find a ticket out of here. But keep moving, find where I'll make my shelter.
Okay, so I've made it down the mountain, and I found this cool little area. The ocean's still a ways away, and I have no time to waste because the sun's going down fast. But this little area will work good because I can make a little lean-to or something. But let's see if I can make a little shelter before the sun goes down. Okay guys, so I'm making sort of a lean-to type thing, and there's lots of things moving around in the bushes behind me. But basically what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna have this as the main support log. I'm gonna have this log and the log that I pulled over from over there, as my main, or as my secondary logs. I'm gonna put them down, then I'm just gonna row a bunch of branches all the way along, maybe cover it with something else, but it'll protect me from like rain and all sorts of stuff. It might be a little more involved than I have time for, but let's see what we can do. Okay, you guys, so I've got my lean-to here that is in the making still, under construction. And I've got the base, as you can see, is the larger branches. Then I've got sort of a rib cage type thing. But I'm just clearing out all the dry leaves and rocks from under here to make it comfortable. And I've got my houseplant right here. He's a nice little houseplant. It's a housewarming gift from the animals of the forest. But this is as far as I'll get tonight, I think. It still needs a lot of work, but it's a shelter and it works. Well, that was a pleasant night's sleep. Let's see. Last night, there were rabbits running around, birds flying through the bushes, coyotes howling, about 500-mile-per-hour wind. The waves sound like there's a tsunami coming up to where I'm sleeping. But let's start the day. Whoa. Time to explore the Pacific. Just get your arms in there. Jump around. Jump around a bunch. Keep your whole body in. Like a couple feet away, I've got like a pink starfish, a purple starfish, an orange starfish, all sorts of cool starfish. I've got 7 starfish over there, which is a lot. I'll go show you, but the sound's gonna be really tough, so I'm just talking to you now. Okay, you guys, so I'm out here a little ways, and if you can see here, there's a purple starfish right there. That's 1. Pink starfish, 2. Another purple starfish, 3. An orange starfish, 4. Purple starfish, 5. Purple starfish, 6. And pink starfish, 7. So just in this little area out here, you can tell the starfish like it because, well, there's 7 starfish out here. So I'll keep moving and see if I can find something else to explore. Mexico. One is that we've got tons of seaweed here, like different types of seaweed, the stuff that actually looks like seaweed. In the Gulf of Mexico, we just have sargassum. And here we also have little poppies that are attached to the things, which are fun to pop. But one of the biggest differences here is rock formations. Now, as you can see here, we have cave type things. And I'll walk back in there a little bit just to show you. So there's one of the caves, and another cave is over here. if you use them as a shelter, because the tide does come all the way up into the caves and it can be pretty bad. Okay, you guys, so with all these rocks around here, it creates cool little things called tide pools. Now, tide pools are visible depending on where the tide is, because at night the tide comes way up and you can't see any of these rocks, and then in the morning the tide goes way out and you can see the rocks. And right now the tide's sort of working its way out. I'm not sure on its exact pattern, but what tide pools are is when the rocks make little pool areas that can contain water. The water comes up and little sea creatures like seahorses, starfish, little plants and enemy thingies come and they live there. And as you can see back there, there's a starfish, and when the tide's higher he lives in a little tide pool, but right now the water's sort of going out so he doesn't have it as much. And I'm going to make my way up to my shelter and work on that a little bit and see if I can get something to eat. Well, that was sure fun, but my shelter here needs some work. Okay, you guys, so I've been working on my shelter for a while. It's almost done, but not quite. And I think it's about time for a food break. So I have two very interesting foods right here. One, this is called a pomegranate. And two, this is called a cactus pear. That's it. And it's like a prickly pear except green. Now, the reason that I have both of these foods in particular is because the cactus pear is found on cactus, which is found everywhere in Texas and a lot of the places in California, more of the southern states. Just get rid of that part right there, and I just crack it open, and you peel off the skin. Now these prickly pears have lots of seeds inside of them, so you got to be careful. They are rock hard seeds. They're very sweet. They're kind of like a cucumber, kiwi type thing. I guess you could just scrape out some of the seeds with a spoon or your thumb. Get those guys out so you don't have to deal with them. Your seed outside, and you're good. Now I have a pomegranate here, and a pomegranate is a very interesting fruit. They grow on trees, if you're wondering. And the reason that I have the pomegranate is because when pomegranates were first introduced to the US, they were grown in Arizona and California. And since I'm in California, I thought I might have one of these. Now, the seeds are what you eat. Okay, so you can look. It's a very different looking fruit. Set this piece aside. And these are kind of like little red corn kernels. and they're just good to eat. They're very sweet. They quench your thirst. And so you can see they're full of them, full of the seeds. It doesn't look like very much seeds, but once you get done with this layer, there's also some skin that you can peel back, and it reveals a whole new layer of seeds. So these are a fun little snack to eat, but it does take a while to eat them. And those are the two little fruits that I thought I would show you, and they're delicious. Okay, you guys, so I'm back down on the beach. It's just a beautiful view, so I had to come back down and look at the sunset, of course, and see where the tide was. But one big difference between the Gulf of Mexico and over on this beach is the sunsets. Because when you're in the Gulf of Mexico in Texas, the sunset's behind the dunes, and when you're over here in California on the Pacific Ocean, the sunset's over the water. So it's really cool to see. But let me tell you, I've had an amazing time here so far. I got to go on a hike with my friend James that I told you about earlier. Okay, you guys, so I'm out here hiking with my friend James. And we're just going on a little trail around, exploring everything. Just little pokey seeds that stick into your pants. And then once they stick into your pants when you're walking around or an animal gets them stuck in them, then they'll fall off somewhere else and it'll help spread the plant, and that seed will just go on the ground and then it'll grow. That's how they spread the population of their type of plant. Little adaptation. Plus it keeps animals from eating them because it's kind of spiky. They don't want to eat them then. We both agreed that it was very important to drink lots of water to stay hydrated. It was just a short little hike, but it was really cool. I got to talk to him along the way and we had a great time. And I also got to go to a little fundraiser for an animal sanctuary to see all sorts of awesome, cute little animals.
Because she's used to trying to grab stuff. So that's the one porcupine. The claws really aren't that sharp, they're just long.
And I got to feed some of them and pet some of them, but it was really fun. I've had a great time so far, but I'm gonna go look along the beach and see the beautiful view. Okay, you guys, so it's pretty late at night and my shelter's still coming together. I've got the layering over the rib cage type thing, so I'm gonna try one of my best coyote calls and see if they respond. Well, maybe next time. Good night. That was a pleasant night's sleep. Here's a tip. When you eat around your shelter, make sure not to leave any shrapnel from the food like pomegranate seeds, because at night, little creatures are gonna come and eat it. Well, better get moving. You guys, so here I have what might look like a ball of seaweed, but is actually something called a sea hare. Now, when I came down here this morning, this little guy was sitting on the beach, and I thought he was a ball of seaweed, of course, but after further examination, I figured out that this guy was actually a living creature. So I made this cool little home for him, and I put him in here. He likes to eat this little green stuff, and I named him Hubert. Now, Hubert's very fun to watch. He'll swim around. He's got little body parts. Here's his head, here's his butt, and he eats that little green stuff, as I said before, and I saw one only once out farther in the tide pool when the tide was really low, and I got to watch him eat, and I also got to watch him poop. But this guy must have got stuck up on shore because he was pretty far up. When the tide came up real high, he got left behind from the wave, so I saved his life. But he's really cool to watch, and he has a defense mechanism sort of like an octopus or a squid. When you step on him, he shoots out this pool of black ink, so it's all gross and gets all over your foot, but it doesn't really injure him because he's so squishy, it's kind of hard to hurt him. But Huber is a very interesting creature, and it's fun to watch. Okay, you guys, so my 3-day project is finally finished, and now it's time to give you guys a tour. So we'll just come, and first off, we have a little gate right there. We just unlatch it, move it around. Then we got my welcome mat down here, and don't forget to wipe your feet. Okay, now you can see in my beautiful home, we've got a little plant right here at the beginning, and we've got rocks leading all the way in a little trail, and we'll keep moving in. I have right here a knife holder, and over here I have my boots, and what these are called are rock socks. Now, it's pretty dangerous to leave your boots out at night with nothing in them, because little creatures such as black widows, bees, snakes, whatnot, will crawl into your boots, and then in the morning when you put your feet in, if you don't tap them out, stick your hand in, sometimes that doesn't even work, but when you put your feet in, they'll get you. So these are always a good idea to keep little creatures from going into your boots. And over here I've got some more houseplant. I have a wetsuit holder right here to dry my wetsuit. And okay, I have the base right here is the big larger logs, as you can see down in here. And then I have the rib cage, which is all those little sticks that's sort of like the frame type area. And then up on top, I have a trash bag that I found that was blown into some trees, and it was still intact enough to be able to spread across here. And then I've got all sorts of little shrapnel, debris type stuff laying on top to keep the trash bag from blowing away. So that's what I've got there. And if you have noticed, I have a very interesting, beautiful wild sign. Now, this is just made out of a log that I found in the woods, and I branded it with a little like tent stake type metal piece of rod something or another that I had found lying around as well. And I just put it in the fire, warmed it up until it was glowing red hot, and I burned it, and it took about 20 different like little imprints until it was perfect. And I've got the sun over here in the corner. It doesn't really look like the sun, but it is. I've got little plants up here to make it look even better. And I'll just give you a second to admire my beautiful work. Now, it's pretty cozy in here. The trash bag up there protects me from the rain and the sun and whatever. And it holds up pretty darn well against wind. So here I have a little shelf that I made out of some rope-ish type stuff. And I just put 2 little strands right here. I got 2 sticks here holding it apart
so it doesn't all group up in the middle. And then I laid some bark and different twigs and whatnot along here, and it holds up pretty well. It holds this little animal bone that I found, and this animal bone was probably a deer bone that belonged to a deer that had been attacked by a coyote or something. I'm not quite sure, so don't quote me on it. But here is a little quartz rock. Now I found a couple of these down at the beach, and I have a little animal spine, which I think belonged to a rabbit that had been attacked by a coyote or some type of predator. But now this is all that's left. Have a moment of silence for this rabbit. Okay, so we can keep moving now. And last but not least, over here in my little shelf area, I have a barnacle clam oyster mussel shell that I found down on the beach. Isn't it pretty? Okay, now, laster but not leaster, I have a little arrow here that I found, which I thought was pretty cool. I found it lying in the woods and it's still pretty well intact, which is cool. And back here I have a little reinforcement protectant wall, just in case any creatures decided to come over here. It'll stop them for maybe a second longer. But I put it there anyway. I've got my pillow right here that I'm laying on. It's my camelback. And here's a view up into the sky. It's very pretty. I probably have the nicest lean-to on the block. Okay, you guys, so that was my home, and thanks for looking at it. If you want to send me any housewarming gifts, just send them to 1234 Forest Place. Now, it's always important if you're out here, because, okay, imagine if you were looking for me flying over in a plane, if I was lost, and I was under here. You probably wouldn't be able to see me, oh good. But since I have this yellow wetsuit on top, it's sort of a bright color that can attract the pilot's eye, and they'd be able to see me, or if they were hiking by, because it's pretty camouflaged. So we just need some type of bright clothing object to catch someone's eye, so that they could find me if I was lost. And there's one last view at my house, and I will close up the gate, and then I think that I am going to go on a hike, because I can sort of hear some traffic-y type noises, and maybe I can see if I can spot a road or something. That could be my ticket out of here. So I'm going to go hike up on the mountain, see where the highest point that I can get is before the sun goes down.
Okay, you guys, so I've been hiking out here up in the mountains for 20 minutes, somewhere around there, and I'm in cactus land at the moment. You can see there are cactus all over the place with a couple of prickly pears, but I can really hear traffic now, so I think I'm getting close to my destination, which will be my ticket out of here. But if you ever see a trail and you stick to it, you're going to find someone. It's just super positive you're gonna find someone. Like, I've got these little trails right here, right now, that I'm following around. So if you just follow the sound, or if you don't hear any sounds of civilization, just keep following the trail. It might lead you to a campground, whatever. But I'm gonna keep following that trail over there and see if I can make it over to where I hear the sound of traffic. So I'll go. Okay, you guys, so I've been hiking for a while now. It's really starting to cool off, but I know I'm close. The traffic is getting louder and louder. I'm just gonna keep following this trail and hope that I find my ticket out of here before sundown.
Okay, you guys, so I've hiked for about another mile maybe. The sun's just going down over the horizon, and I have found the source of the sound of traffic. Let me tell you, I have had an amazing time here in California. It was my first time ever visiting California, and it has met my expectations. This place was beautiful, up in the mountains. I got to see all sorts of stuff. Down at the beach, it was my first time seeing a starfish out in the wild, which was really cool. I've had a lot of firsts here. It was really cool seeing different movie sets, like the MASH set was really cool. And I got to meet James. I got to go on a hike with him. And let me tell you, James, thank you for inviting me to your backyard and letting me explore here and play around. I've had a blast. And, I mean, just look at this place. Look at the view. You got the ocean, the sunset, the mountainy type area. Okay, so all you guys who live out here in LA, you guys are really lucky because just outside that huge city with millions of people, you got this beautiful nature-y, outdoor type area. You got the beach back here, some mountainy type areas. Just get away from the city and go out and see the outdoors, see Mother Nature. And I hope all of you guys take advantage of that. And I hope to come back here to California one day because it's just such an amazing place. So, until next time, you guys, stay wild!